Combating climate change. What is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear it? Maybe the Paris Agreement, Greta Thunberg, or melting of Arctic ice, and so on. It is kind of a weird dual phenomenon. From the one side, we see presidents, ministers, chairmen bickering over climate policies at global conferences, while we only have a little difference on the matter, seeing it from the news in our phones. From the other side, it is also very close to us. During the last few years, you may have a thought, like, wow, this is the hottest summer I have ever experienced. And I'm sorry to reply that this might be the coldest summer you will enjoy in your future life. A few weeks ago, there was a sandstorm in Beijing. And during the sandstorm, the air quality index reached 1,500 when the norm was 50. So during that day, being outdoors for a long time was dangerous for health. That is why my groupmates and I asked the professor to shift the class online. And the professor was nice enough to agree. I stayed in my dorm and wanted to order the lunch for my food delivery for the lunch. But then I looked out of the window. I saw yellow sky and realized that whoever was delivering at that day had to go through the sandstorm because of my lunch to sacrifice his health. So then I canceled my order. Unlike the students, the delivery person didn't have the choice of switching deliveries online. And at that point, I realized how close we are to the problem. My further reflection brought me back to 2019. My friend's family invited me to visit their hometown in the Sakha Republic, which was located in Siberia in Russia. People there lead a secluded, indigenous way of living, and they speak native Sakha language. We set off for my friend's home village, which was located 400 kilometers away from the capital of the Sakha Republic. And one cute thing that I noticed was that local people always brought pancakes with them for long journeys. You know, from the first time, I thought that those were snacks for me, but in turn, those were a tribute for the gods of forest, land, fire, rivers. Nature in the Sakha Republic is very tough, and temperature during the winter can drop to minus 80 degrees Celsius. And the tradition of paying tribute is a constant reminder for the local people that nature is to be gratified and respected. And I would say that in the Sakha Republic, it is still the place where not the nature adapts to people, but people who try to adapt to nature. But the situation dramatically changed. In 2019, wildfires reached the distance of less than a few kilometers from the villages. And people there who always made their living by selling meat, so they breed cows and horses, and they have the tradition of making hay during the summer so as to feed the flock during the winter. At the summer when I came, people there were no longer focused on the haymaking. They were fighting wildfires. And at that point, I realized that it's not the act of the gods, and pancakes will not bring the end to this devastating situation. So in 2021, I came back to the Sakha Republic so as to interview those who put out fires with their own hands and those who are the most affected. In 2021, the air quality index in the capital of the Sakha Republic also reached 2,000. That was 40 times higher than the norm. And also in 2021, it was the first time one entire village was burned down. Climate change has no boundaries. It does not have visa, or passport so as to come to any country. And during the last few years, the number of vulnerable communities is continuing to rise. And today, we may be blessed enough to stay indoors during the sandstorm, but there is no guarantee on tomorrow. Eventually, the experience in the Sakha Republic became a turning point in my life. So I changed my research direction to study how oil and gas companies can decarbonize, and I also tried to engage my group mates into the development of startup, and now I try to do the most that I can so as to develop climate justice and youth union to help those who are the most affected. So my transformation started because I saw those people who are the most affected and who suffer from the climate change. I started sharing this story with many people who I met, and to my surprise, many scholars with whom I shared this idea started reflecting on this issue in their academic research, and business people started taking sustainability more seriously in their business strategies. And even my friends, who never was climate activists, started taking some actions on it. This was when it hit me. Most of us might never engage into any climate action in our lives, directly or indirectly. But we represent the people and stories around us, and simply by sharing, we are initiating our own effort toward climate mitigation. What I'm trying to say is that seeing and hearing and then acting is our common tool to combat climate change. Noticing people around us and stories behind them is much more powerful than just hearing the information provided by cold statistics in the news. Regarding rural education, we were all familiar with the numbers of children out of school. But it was the glance of Big Eye Girl from Xiwang Gongcheng, the Project Hope, who created the biggest social resonance on this matter. Her story led the society to action. And similarly, even though all of us were aware of the statistics, information about plastic elimination, it was the moment when all we saw the video of the turtle with a plastic straw in its nose that started a movement of plastic waste elimination. Kristen Figener, a marine biologist who took this video, never wanted it to become a movement. But it was the video that started the biggest plastic waste elimination by companies like Starbucks and American Airlines. We are, after all, people. We are people causing climate change. And we are people suffering from climate change. And we are people who can deal with climate change. Like the examples I have raised, resonating with people and their stories, who calls out our humane feelings, is our tool that everyone has. And from the other side, just hearing information provided in the news has less influence on our actions. My hope is that, starting from now, when you hear combating climate change, the first thing that comes to your mind are people around us. The delivery guy making his way through the sandstorm, or the Sakha villages trying to put out fires with their own hands. And more importantly, the stories that you, your loved ones, and your friends are going through, since we are the one causing and suffering from climate change. Perhaps it is time to bring a humane perspective into our climate discussion. Thank you.